of Dr. Ira is there. You can remove the slide. Okay, start.
Should I start, ma'am?
Sure, sure.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am
Ma'am,
Dr.
excuse me.
Yes, ma'am. I'm starting, ma'am. Then
Let the
Deepti ma'am
clarinet,
will.
see,
Yes.
the flow is like clarinet team will first say, then
Okay,
I'll
ma'am.
do the welcome speech, and
Okay.
then we'll have the Prajolan, and then I'll hand over to Dr. and he'll introduce you. Then you'll start this talk. Okay?
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Till
Okay.
then, hold.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, with all your permission, I'm starting. A very good evening and a warm welcome to all the dignitaries present here. I am Momita from Clarinet, serving as the allocated session assistant to ensure a seamless experience. Clarinet stands as India's most relied upon digital platform, offering a multitude of enriching services exclusively for doctors. It is with great pride that Clarinet serves as the digital partner for this event, hosted by the Oncology Integrated Society. And the focus of today's session is the genomics in endometrial cancer. So now, with all your permission, I would like to inaugurate the program with the live lighting. So just allow me a moment. Ma'am, I'm stopping the screen sharing once. Is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
ॐ सरस्वती नमो नमः मा सरस्वती नमो नमः विद्यादायिनि नमो नमः हंसवाहिनी नमो नमः ॐ सरस्वती नमो नमः मा सरस्वती नमो नमः विद्यादायिनि नमो नमः हंसवाहिनी नमो नमः
Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience in hearing. So now, without any much delay, let's begin to the session for which I would like to invite Dr. Dipti Chaturvedi, ma'am, to take over further. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to all for this yet another episode of Cancer Webinar Series under the aegis of Oncology Integrated Research Foundation and Dr. Chaturvedi Cancer Hospital. Today we have with us a very good speaker, a brilliant and an intelligent path oncologist from SRMS Bareilly, Associate Professor Dr. Ira Bharadwaj, a person with great mind, full sound knowledge, and a superhuman being. Most welcome, dear friend, Dr. Ira.
Thank
We
you.
also have with us the president of OIRF and the host himself, the Dr. A.K. Chaturvedi, who is the man behind the SWIBNA and who is the renowned senior oncologist and owner of Dr. Chaturvedi Cancer Hospital, who has a record experience of treating cancer patients for about 40 years and who has been past president UPARI and has had extra innings abroad and has many awards and publications to his credit to add to his extra feathers in the cap. Last and most important is welcoming all the dignitaries, participants, orators, chairpersons. All the questions can be put in the chat box, which we will discuss at the end of the meet. Till then, let's hear from Ira. First, I'll hand over the dais to Dr. A.K. Chaturvedi, who will give a brief intro to the topic and introduce our speaker of the day. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Liti. Very good evening. Today's topic is genomics in endometrial carcinoma. As you know, endometrial cancer is sixth most common cancer in the woman worldwide and the most common gynecological cancer in US. There are so many risk factors which decides whether a lady will have endometrial cancer or not. So it's the age, parity, they all depend upon breastfeeding or infertility. And endometrial carcinoma is a heterogeneous disease with complex genomic landscape. Here are some information about the genomics of endometrial carcinoma. When there is a germline mutation, this constitutes about 2 to 5% of endometrial cancers, familial and linked to germline mutations, mismatch repair genes, or to germline deletion of EPCAM or mutation in P10 chromosomes. Pole mutation, there are certain pole mutations. Nearly 11 well-defined pathological pole mutations were noted, of which P286R and V411L being the most common. Pole mutated tumors are good candidates for immunotherapy and cytotoxic treatment. Molecular markers, understanding the genomic alteration that drive endometrial carcinoma can help identify the molecular markers to improve the patient's management. Lynch syndrome is the most common hereditary predisposition for the uterine cancer. Women with Lynch syndrome may have up to a 60% lifetime risk of developing endometrial cancer. The BRCA genes have increased risk of melanoma, stomach cancer, and a rare type of endometrial cancer called uterine serous carcinoma. NCCN recommends universal testing of mismatch repair, MMR or MSI status, and considers further molecular analysis of tumor protein TP53 and pole status. So there are so many things are coming up with the uterine cancer. And for this particular topic, we have invited Dr. Ira Bharadwaj. She is the Assistant Professor, Department of Pathology, SRMS, IMS Bareilly. She did her MBBS from Himalayan Institute of Medical Sciences, Dehradun. She did her MD Pathology from Rohilkhand Medical College and Hospital, Bareilly. She did her SRship from SRMS, Bareilly, and worked as Lady Medical Officer in Provincial Medical Services of UP State Government for 7 years at District Hospital, Pilibhit and MCH Wing. Fellow in Aesthetic Medicine, Institute of Laser and Aesthetic Medicine. She has got, she is interested in oncopathology, gynec pathology, and uropathology. She is life member of Indian Association of Pathologists and Microbiologists, life member of Indian Society of Aesthetic Medicine, book review in IJPM on title We Win, India's First Against the COVID-19 Pandemic by Dr. Chandrakanta Lahiriya and Dr. Gagandeep Kang and Dr. Randeep Guleria. Second prize in scientific poster presentation in UP Cytocon 2022. So this is all about Ira Bharadwaj, and now I welcome Dr. Ira for our speech on genomics in endometrial cancer. Dr. Ira Bharadwaj, please.
Thank you so much, sir. So I will be starting my presentation. Yeah, is it visible?
Yeah,
Okay. And ma'am, am I audible clearly?
yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. So, hello everyone. I am Dr. Ira Bharadwaj. So I am assistant professor, presently working as assistant professor in the Department of Pathology in SRMS IMS Bareilly. So today I will be discussing about the genomics of endometrial carcinoma. So I'll take my presentation under these 5 categories. Like I'll be presenting the introduction, then classification, then we'll discuss the molecular classification, its clinical implication, and the summary. So as sir has already said that endometrial carcinoma is the most common gynecological malignancy in developed countries, typically occurs in elderly individuals, mostly in postmenopausal women. However, it can occur at any age. Even cases have been reported in association with intrauterine pregnancy. There are three distinct but overlapping dimensions used to categorize endometrial tumors. This is pathogenetic, histopathologic, and molecular. Pathogenetically, Bokeman in 1983 proposed two subtypes of endometrial carcinomas. These are type 1 and type 2. So, type 1 is estrogen-dependent endometrial carcinomas, that is EECs, or type 1 carcinomas. And the second one is non-endometrioid endometrial carcinomas, that is NEEC, or type 2 tumors. These tumor categories have distinct risk factors, precursor lesions, molecular genetics, and clinical behavior. Ma'am, just give me 2 minutes. So, next. So the clinical and pathological features of these two endometrial carcinomas are as the age factor is in type 1 EEC, we have pre and perimenopausal age category. For type 2, it is mostly postmenopausal. The behavior of EEC is stable, while in type 2, it is very progressive. The grade is high in type 2 and low in type 1 category. In type 1 category, we have precursor lesions like endometrial hyperplasia, and unopposed estrogen is also there. But in type 2 category, both of these factors are absent. The myometrial invasion is minimal in type 1 category, while it is deep myometrial invasion has been seen in type 2 categories. There is a specific subtypes which has been given to type 1 and type 2. The endometrioid carcinoma comes under type 1 category, while the non-endometrioid carcinomas like serous carcinomas, they occur in type 2 categories. The prevalence rate is 70 to 80% for type 1 category, while type 2 categories have 10 to 20% prevalence rate. The risk factors for type 1 categories are obesity, anovulation, nulliparity, and exogenous estrogen exposure, while in type 2, it is mostly an atopic endometrium. So, genetic features for endometrial carcinomas in these formally defined categories were like we have gain of function mutations and loss of function mutations. Gain of function mutations mostly we see in the oncogenes or proto-oncogenes, that is KRAS, HER2/neu, and beta-catenin. The KRAS gain of function mutation is seen in around 15 to 30% cases in EEC, while it is just 0 to 5% in NEEC. HER2/neu is seen in 10 to 20% in EEC and 9 to 30% in NEEC, while beta-catenin is present in 31 to 47% cases of EEC and 0 to 3%, that is minimal, in NEEC. The loss of function is mutations are seen mostly in the tumor suppressor genes. These include PTEN and P53 and genomic instability microsatellite genes. These are the PTEN, we have 30 to 50% in EEC, while 10% in NEEC. P53 mutations are seen in mostly in NEEC, that is 90% cases, and 10 to 20% in EEC. The genomic instability, that is microsatellite mutations, are seen in 20 to 40% cases of EEC, while 0 to 5% in NEEC. Now, histopathologically, we have divided endometrial carcinomas as endometrioid and its variant, mucinous carcinomas, serous carcinoma, clear cell carcinoma, neuroendocrine carcinoma, mixed carcinoma, undifferentiated or dedifferentiated carcinomas. And additionally, we have a small percentage of carcinoma which demonstrate mesenchymal differentiation, and these are referred to as carcinosarcomas. So, I am discussing only two of these categories. I'm not going into much of these details. So, endometrioid carcinomas, first of all, so it is the most common type of endometrial carcinoma, and it is account for at 85% of cases. The morphological features are as like glands. We see the glands that have complex architectural growth patterns. The cells lining the glands have round to elongated nuclei with pseudostratification. The nuclei are typically low grade, and the presence of high grade nuclei should suggest the possibility of non-endometrioid carcinomas. And we see other differentiations differentiation also in these categories, like squamous differentiation, mucinous differentiation, and viloglandular differentiation. So this is a picture micrograph showing the endometrioid carcinomas. Here we can see that there are glands, back-to-back glands, or glands in the stroma is minimal or maybe absent. These glands are lined by low-grade nuclear cells. These have a very low-grade morphologies. The nuclei are inconspicuous. The nuclear membrane is irregular, and they have round to elongated nucleus. For these tumors, the immunohistochemistry for MSH2 is positive, while MLH1 immunochemistry and PMS2 immunochemistry are negative in these cases. The endometrioid and mucinous carcinomas are graded with three-tier system developed by International Federation of Gynecology and Obstetrics, that is FIGO. We have divided into three categories: FIGO 1, FIGO 2, and FIGO 3. The FIGO 1 is predominantly glandular growth, and we see less than 5% of non-squamous solid component in these cases. FIGO 2 is 6 to 50% of non-squamous solid component, while in FIGO 3, more than 50% of non-squamous solid component is seen. So this is the this is the differentiation chart between grade 1, 2, that is low grade, and grade 3 tumors, FIGO gradings. So grade 1 and 2 we consider low FIGO gradings, while grade 3 is considered as high FIGO grading. The prognosis for grade 1 and 2 is favorable, while for grade 3 it is poor. P53 mutation is mostly seen in grade 3, that is 50% of cases, while in grade 1 and 2 it is rare. And TGCA subtypes in grade 3 are mostly high copy number subtypes, while other three subtypes, which will be discussed further in this presentation, are included in grade 1 and 2. Precursor lesions for grade 1 and 2 is complex atypical hyperplasia, while in grade 3 we more rarely see any precursor lesion. Now moving on to serous carcinoma. The serous carcinoma constitutes only 3 to 10% of endometrial carcinoma, but due to its aggressive behavior, it causes a disproportionate number of deaths. Marked cytological atypia consisting of high-grade nuclear, often with prominent eosinophilic nuclei and atypical mitotic figures, has been seen. The papillary or glandular patterns, or more uncommonly, a solid growth pattern can also be seen. All serous carcinomas is considered to be high-grade, that is FIGO grade 3 tumors. Mutation in type 3 gene are identified in approximately 90% of serous carcinomas of endometrium. The serous carcinoma most commonly occurs in the background of endometrial atrophy. The precursor lesion is termed as serous endometrial intraepithelial carcinoma. So this is a picture micrograph showing the serous tumors. These tumors are having a glandular or papillary growth pattern, and these glands or papillae are mostly lined by the high-grade morphology cells. These have high conspicuous nuclei and hyperchromatic nuclei, and you can see the atypical mitotic figure is more common in these cases. So this serous carcinomas are mostly positive for ISC or for estrogen receptors, and they are also positive for P53 immunochemistry, that is, they are P53 mutant, and P16 positive expressions are seen in these cases. So moving on to the molecular classification. The molecular classification is given by TGCA researchers. So what have TGCA researchers learned about the endometrial carcinomas? In 2013, the Cancer Genome Atlas, that is TCGA, identified 4 distinct molecular types of endometrial carcinomas based on the consideration of somatic mutation rates, MSI status, and somatic copy number status. This molecular classification provides an alternate lens through which to view and describe endometrial tumors while adding significant diagnostic, prognostic, and therapeutic targets. There are 4 molecular subtypes of endometrial cancers. These are pole ultramutated, microsatellite instability hypermutated, copy number low, and the 4th category is copy number high. The endometrial cancers shares a genomic features with serous ovarian cancer, the basal-like subtype of breast cancer, and the colorectal cancer. So endometrioid carcinomas populate all the 4 popular molecular subgroups, whereas serous carcinomas are almost exclusively in the copy number high subgroup. Some endometrioid and serous endometrial tumors are molecularly distinct, while others are similar, suggesting some may benefit from the common treatment. The serous and some endometrioid tumors, which are characterized by the frequent mutations in T53, extensive copy number alterations, and few methylation changes, while other endometrioid tumors are characterized by few copy number alteration, scarce mutation in T53, and frequent mutation in P10 or KRAS. So, discussing about these molecular class subtypes. So, number 1 is the polymerase E pole ultramutated. It accounts for 7% of endometrial carcinomas. These have inactivating hotspot somatic mutations in the pole exonucleus exonucleus domain, that is pole EDM. An exceedingly high mutation rate is seen, that is 232 into 10 to the power minus 6 mutations per MB, and it has a most favorable prognosis. So next is MSI-H hypermutated. It is microsatellite instability high, that is hypermutated. This accounts for 28% of cases and often accompanied by MSI and frequent hypermethylation of MLH1 promoter gene, indicating the defective MMR, that is mismatch repair gene. So in these cases, the high mutation rate is also seen, that is 18 into 10 to the power minus 6 mutations per MB. Now, copy number low is mostly seen in endometrioid carcinomas. They have low copy number alterations, and these account for 39% of cases with relatively low mutation rate, that is 2.9 into 10 to the power minus 6 mutations per MB. Copy number high is serous-like, and they have high level copy number alterations, that is frequent 92% somatic mutations in T53 and relatively low mutation rate, that is 2.3 into 10 to the power minus 6 mutations per MB, and these are seen in 26% of cases. FIGO grade 3 endometrioid carcinomas are highly represented in all the 4 subgroups. So this is the tabular form. This table depicts that we have CN low, that is copy number low, TGCA category, TCGA category. The genomic alterations include few mutations and low number of somatic copy number alterations. The surrogate marker will be absence of pole EDM. The MMR, they will be MMR deficient and P53 mutated. Former designation was type 1. The age category is 65 years. And the prognosis is intermediate, while the histological type included in these are endometrioid, usually grade 1 and 2. Now CN high, that is having a few mutations, but high number of somatic copy number alteration. The surrogate marker here will be P53 mutated. Former designation will be type 2. Mean age is 72 years. The prognosis will be poor, while in histological type includes the serous and some grade 3 endometrioid carcinomas. Now, hypermutated, they show many mutations. The surrogate marker here will be MMR deficient. We don't give any formal designation to these tumors. Then age category is 66 years. Prognosis is intermediate, and they are mostly endometrioid and maybe high grade. Ultramutated, they have very many mutations. The surrogate marker here is pole EDM. The former designation is not available. Then age category is 62 years. The prognosis here is favorable, and endometrioid may be high grade. Now, this is the picture representation of the tumor markers, and we have substitution frequency and mutations per MB. Now, moving on to the clinical implications. Although the molecular classification has been a very good predictive marker for clinical purpose, but it has not got the validation for clinical validation. But recently, the surrogate marker approach has been implicated in the clinical settings. This surrogate marker approach is PROMIS, recently introduced. That is PROMIS approach. PROMIS is like proactive molecular risk classifier for endometrial cancer. It consists of sequential testing and decision making, beginning with immunohistochemistry for MLH1, MSH2, MSH6, PMS2 to detect MMR repair abnormalities. And when we have done this in ISC testing, it is followed by sequencing to identify POL-ADM mutations. We will do the sequencing, and then when the POL-ADM mutation sequencing has been done, this thing is again followed by ISC for P53 to identify P53 mutant or wild type tumors. However, because the availability of POL mutation analysis is not very much available, so in contrast to MMR and P53 ISC, this analysis hinders the universal adoption of this classifier as well as FIGO 2023 staging system. So we have selective PROMIS classifier, which is routinely used in the practice, and according to which we will do the MMR and P53 ISC. And this will be done in all the cases, while the POL testing will be restricted to those patients in whom POL status would alter the adjuvant therapy. So adjuvant chemotherapy is associated with more favorable outcomes for patients with P53 abnormal tumors. That is, P53 mutant tumors will have a more favorable result for adjuvant chemotherapy, including the stage 1 disease and non-serous morphology, but not for MMR deficient tumors. Molecular classification of all endometrial carcinomas is encouraged and can be performed on biopsies or hysterectomy specimens, because having the results upfront on the biopsy material may influence the surgical management. The POL mutation has low risk of recurrence and will likely transition to no adjuvant treatment required in early stages. At the opposite end, the P53 abnormal tumors, that is P53 mutated tumors, have high risk of recurrence and decreased survival and will lead to reclassification onto the higher risk group requiring the chemotherapy. So in the end, I would summarize that endometrial carcinomas may be classified according to pathogenetic, histopathologic, and molecular features. Endometrioid and serous carcinomas, which represent the prototypical type 1 and type 2 endometrial tumors, according to Bocheman's pathogenetic descriptors, were classified by TCGA into 4 discrete molecular subgroups referred to as POL ultramutated, MSI hypermutated, copy number low, that is endometrioid, and copy number high, that is serous-like. So this is the chart. I would like you all to go through this. So if you have any like say endometrial cancer, the histological subtype independent, we will go for the POL status. And if it is POL pathogenic, we will classify it as EC POL mutant. While if it is POL wild type or non-pathogenic, we will do the MMR status. And in MMR status, if it is MMR deficient, we will classify it as endometrial carcinoma MMR deficient. While in MMR proficient cases, we will go for P53 ISC, or we can do the sequencing also. Here we will, if it is P53 wild type, we will classify endometrial carcinoma of no specific molecular profiling, that is NSMP. And if it is mutant, we will classify it as endometrial carcinoma P53 mutant. So I'm going through this table again, because here you can see that the poor prognosis is seen cases of CN high alteration, like in which we have somatic copy number alteration, high number of there, and they have a P53 mutation. Mostly we type 2 category, we classify them in type 2 category, that is NEEC, and here comes the serous tumors or some grade 3 endometrioid carcinomas. The most favorable prognosis is for ultramutated POL category, where the POL-ADM is mutations are seen. In these cases, the prognosis is very favorable, and they are mostly endometrioid and maybe of high grade group. So endometrioid tumors are distributed among each of the 4 molecular subgroups, whereas the vast majority of the serous tumors are in the copy number high subgroup. The clear cell carcinomas, which are difficult to classify by the histopathology, has some overlapping molecular features with serous and endometrioid carcinomas, but it has not been subjected to an integrated genomic analysis. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was really very informative and elaborative and talk and building up all lacunae in knowledge. And it was really very brilliant talk.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, and still now we don't have, okay. Any questions? Clarinet team, do you have any question from the delegate link? Hello, are you all there? Disappeared.
No, they must be there, but
They have not posted any
muted.
questions.
Yeah.
No questions have been pasted. So any queries from you? You are the expert.
No, thank you. This,
Genomics in endometrial carcinoma.
yeah, because mostly nowadays people are started doing molecular study of endometrial carcinoma. So the treatment will depend upon the molecular
Classic.
type.
Mm.
And one thing which I could make out, this more of a mutations and what was that summary slide? Can you bring it back?
Yeah, ma'am. Yes, sir, sure. Just give me 2 minutes.
Ultra mutated. Fine mutation means
Yeah,
good,
ultra mutated and
vice versa. Fine will give a very good prognosis.
Yes, sir.
And
no,
yeah,
not this one.
Not
Where
this.
you
uh,
because favorable outcome is with the
ultra
high.
The outcome is, sir, with the ultra mutated, that is pole
Yeah.
EDM category.
Yes,
minute mutations.
that too with the high grade. Otherwise,
That
the
is with the
routine-
high grade endometrioid.
Yes, otherwise what we have seen when there is a high grade tumor, it is very bad prognosis.
Yeah.
This is just the reverse which I am seeing.
Yeah.
Endometrial may be of high grade. High grade, they are giving favorable and low grade is giving poor.
Yes, sir.
So this is something unusual. It's just the reverse what we get in other tumors. Do you agree with that? You mean
Yes.
this only? Yeah.
No,
Yes,
she
sir, yes.
doesn't mean this. It is ultra mutation means, I think so, that's what I am thinking. Just like we have well differentiated carcinoma and poorly differentiated carcinoma.
Ma'am,
So
I
high
would
grade-
like to correct here. It is not the on the basis of high grade or low grade. It is just like the high grade tumors also, if they are having the pole EDM mutations, then they have the favorable outcome. It is not
Right.
always that every high grade tumor will have the favorite outcome,
Okay.
but the
okay.
high grade tumors with pole EDM mutation, that is in a ultra mutated category, these
Mhm.
tumors will have only the favorable outcome. So pole
Oh.
EDM is necessary for these tumors to know. मतलब pole EDM molecular profiling is necessary to know the outcome.
Okay,
Right.
then what you decide for, which one you decide for chemo and which you decide for hormonal therapy or radiation therapy? Means like how does it affect all these things?
Ma'am, like they have not mentioned it ki which therapy you have to give, because that is the clinical thing ki like you matlab like oncologist may decide it. But the thing is
Okay.
ki, adjuvant chemotherapy, adjuvant therapy is more favorable for pole mutated tumors.
Yes, pole
Yes,
mutated tumors are good candidate for immunotherapy or cytotoxic treatment, and they are
Yeah.
good candidate for radiation also.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, quite a bit complicated.
Why I've added this onco integrated because general doctors like me will understand it in the other way.
Yeah,
And it is the upcoming branch, so people should know what is what.
Yes,
So
sir.
they should be able to read the pathology report and accordingly send to the concerned specialist.
person.
Yes.
Otherwise, the patient will just keep on dodging from here to there, and meanwhile, the disease will increase. So, this we should know pathology criteria since it is an upcoming branch. So,
Yes,
and
thank you, Dr. Ira Bharadwaj.
Thank you, sir.
And a very nice presentation and very elaborative. And thank you so much
Thank you,
for the
sir.
audience as well. Now, Dr. Deepti, for your
yeah,
closing remarks.
thank you so much, Dr. Ira,
Thank
for
you,
not
ma'am.
quitting the second time.
No, ma'am, I won't quit then from next time.
Because it starts up like this after you. Two
I
others
know, ma'am.
didn't join today. They also had some problem.
Okay,
Some
ma'am.
other programs also. IM
Okay.
elections also going on. No?
Ma'am, in the future, I will try to be on the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
But anyway, it's okay. When we compare your presentation, it's all worth.
Thank you.
So
Thank,
everything forgiven and forgotten.
thank you, ma'am.
So we'll call you again, once again. This
Okay.
time it was a little, because even we all were very busy today.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, then thanks, and we'll
Thank you.
welcome you
Thank you,
again
everyone.
and again.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thanks
thank you,
all the
ma'am.
participants, Clarinet team, dignitaries, speakers, and all around us people. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so
ma'am.
much, ma'am. And thank you so much to everyone for giving us this opportunity to host the session. So now, with all due permission, I'm closing the session here for today. Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
sir.